Yeah, I think my worries are gone. Hey guys, this is dclaiche, and welcome to my review of episodes 1 and 2 of Series 14 of Doctor Who, Space Babies, and the Devil's Chord. As I was editing the review of the Christmas special from last year, I realized that there's a word that I used a lot. And that word is serviceable. I called a lot of things in that episode serviceable. The Doctor was serviceable. Ruby was serviceable. The episode itself was serviceable, meaning it was alright. It did the job. It wasn't spectacular, though. I will no longer be using those words, at least not for these two episodes. So let's go ahead and start with the review, first of all, of Episode 1, Space Babies. So this episode actually begins very similarly to how Episode 1 of Series 1 did, with no pre-credit scene and just a cold intro. But also the intro is slightly changed, just ever so slightly. Personally, I kind of prefer the other ones, the 60th anniversary ones, but it's a small change, it's not that big of a deal. This episode is also very similar in aesthetics and also themes to End of the World. It has a very sort of the Doctor introducing all of the basic concepts of the world, the TARDIS, who he is, what he is, where he's from, all these things. A lot of these things. But there's a very marked difference that I see in the Doctor, not just in this episode, but also in the Devil's Chord. Whenever he brings up the fact that all of his people are dead, he no longer has the sort of 1,000-mile stare that earlier incarnations of the Doctor, like the 9th and the 10th Doctor and the 11th Doctor, used to have. This is a Doctor that has worked through the trauma, and is no longer truly affected by all of the terrible things that happened in his past. And he's actually just able to go out and actually enjoy life, to just go out there and just be like, everything is amazing, the universe is beautiful, I'm here for days like this, and I'm just like, you know, I actually really like that. It takes away an aspect of the Doctor that we've had for a very long time, that being the underlying trauma that he's been through, but I do still think that the Doctor makes up. I mean, for goodness sake, we had an entire classic series of the Doctor before all of that trauma happened, and we still really enjoyed that. So yeah, obviously it's not a aspect of the Doctor that needs to be there. This episode is also a classic example of the things in a place where you don't expect to find them trope. So you've got space babies in a spaceship, very similar to dinosaurs on a spaceship, Victorian soldiers on Mars, cats in a hospital, stuff like that. Russell T Davies is really good at that kind of stuff, although the first two of those, now that I think about it, those were both Moffat, so yeah. That's a Doctor Who thing, that's not an RTD thing. I really, really enjoyed seeing how the Doctor and Ruby, how good they are with all of the babies. I just thought it was so wholesome, and I just really enjoyed that a lot. Also, I know that it was touched on, but I don't think that they actually fully explained how the babies mentally grow up without physically growing up. So yeah, maybe it actually was explained and I just wasn't paying close enough attention. But yeah, I don't remember them explaining exactly how that happens. I also wanted to point out something interesting, that I may have read a little bit into this situation, but there was one particular line where it's sort of, it's talked about how the babies are, they can't turn off the birth machine, but the babies were sort of left behind. And Ruby makes something of a comment like, yeah, it was like that back when I was back in my world too. And I'm just like, and I think that was supposed to be somewhat of a reference to the pro-choice talking point of, like, pro-lifers just want babies to be born, but don't care how they're raised, and don't care if they grow up in poverty and stuff like that. Now, regardless of what you think about that particular point, I do find it interesting that Russell T Davies, as ever, is very good at inserting his own politics into Doctor Who without letting it overshadow everything else. This is something that Chris Chibnall could learn from, because, goodness gracious, Orphan 55. Oh, that was terrible. That was absolutely terrible. And yeah, like I said, Doctor Who's always been political, but there's a way to do it, and RTD does it right. Now, so he did it so right that I'm actually questioning whether or not that was actually what he intended to communicate, or if I was just reading that into the situation. So, yeah. If that was the case, then it was very well done. I don't like the talking point, but I appreciate how well you incorporated it in there. And of course, you know, this episode has a lot of the baby gross out humor. You know, the bogeyman being made of actual bogies, the ship, the station being propelled by built up methane out of an exhaust fume that looks like a butt farting. Yeah, that was funny. I get it. Yeah, that kind of humor somewhat tracks with some of RTD's earlier stuff, such as like the Slitheen and whatnot. But yeah, it was indeed gross, but also kind of funny. So, also, I just really enjoy the dynamic between the Doctor and Ruby. I didn't touch on it that much last time because I don't think it was really displayed that much last time. But in these episodes, I really do enjoy the sort of besties vibe that they sort of give off. I think it's a really good Doctor companion dynamic, especially it works well for the sort of modern age, the 2020s sort of age. And it's also indicative of my favorite, or one of my favorites, Doctor companion dynamics, that being of the Doctor and Donna. They're just best friends who love going out and exploring the universe together. I mean, that was a really, really good... I feel like all of the best Doctor Who dynamics have that sort of flair to them. So yeah, I really liked that. Overall, this episode was a very, very fun ride. It keeps you engaged the entire time, and it's just very, very, very good episode. Now, if this episode was very good, The Devil's Chord is fantastic. As someone who has both a bachelor's and master's in music, and also someone who just is absolutely in love with the musical styles of Murray Gold, I cannot tell you how much I appreciated this episode. This episode felt almost like a tribute to the genius of Murray Gold, and honestly, the man deserves way more tribute than he's given. He deserves way more notoriety than he is given. He is just a musical genius, just absolutely beautiful tunes. Love Murray Gold so much. So, I want to talk a little bit about the Maestro. Now, I first saw the Maestro in the previews that were released on YouTube before these episodes came out. And to be perfectly honest, I thought the Maestro was kind of cringe. Those previews did not do it justice. The Maestro starts off in the episode itself as initially creepy because they're being summoned via a Devil's Chord, via a tritone. So that makes the Maestro initially creepy. Also, the fact that they just kind of snap away a little boy who just kind of vanishes. That's pretty creepy. That's pretty creepy. What makes the Maestro downright terrifying to me is the second they look directly into the camera, intentionally breaking the fourth wall, and then start playing the Doctor Who theme on the piano. It is at that point where I'm just like, oh, okay, if I was sitting on a couch, I probably would have been hiding behind it. Like, cause this thing just looked directly at me, the viewer, and then started playing the tune of the TV show that presumably it knows that it's in. This thing is a threat not just to the people in universe, it might also be a threat to me in the real life. Add on top of that the fact that the Doctor is downright terrified of this thing. Also the fact that it is a child of the toy maker. And also the fact that it wants to steal the music of the spheres, which, if you don't know what that is, you should probably watch the mini episode of Doctor Who where the Doctor is basically explaining what the music of the spheres is to the Doctor Who proms in, like, I think 2008 or something like that. I forget which year it was. But basically the music of the spheres is the sound of the collective universe. So to steal the music of the spheres is essentially to destroy the universe and to basically break down any form of order in the universe and just have absolute chaos and Aeolian tones, as the Doctor puts it, all throughout the whole place. So, yeah, the Maestro's terrifying. A primal force of nature that is the embodiment of music itself. That also doesn't like play, unlike its father, doesn't like playing by the rules. It's greedy. It wants music for itself. It doesn't want anybody else to have it. Anyways, now that I have thoroughly gone on about how much I love the Maestro, let's continue on a little bit. Love the 60s garb for the Doctor and Ruby Sunday. These are outfits that we had spoiled for us pretty early on. Also, when they go to Abbey Road Studios, it doesn't look quite like I remember it. I've been to London. I've been to where Abbey Road Studios is. Didn't quite look the same. Maybe it changed over the years. I don't know. But yeah, the fact that all of the music in the world just disappeared, I mean, that's a terrifying concept. That's a miserably terrifying concept. That's not something any universe should have the curse of having happen to them. Also, I really gotta give props to Murray Gold again, because I will always give props to Murray Gold for Ruby's theme. And I love the scene where Ruby is playing her theme on the piano on the roof and just letting the music fill everything. That moment was mesmerizing to me. It was just beautiful, just lovely. I especially enjoyed the part where one of the ladies who opens up the window and starts listening to the music, she starts crying almost, and I'm just like, that struck a very strong chord, pun intended, with me, because that is something that I have actually done while listening to Murray Gold's music. So I just thought, oh, that entire scene was just, chef's kiss, wonderful, beautiful. And then the Maestro comes and wrecks it and screws it all up, and I'm just like, screw you, buddy. Hate you. Hate everything that you're about. I despise you. Go away. Also, the whole world without music being, no music means the humans eventually all go to war with each other and destroy the world. Bit sensationalist, but somewhat believable. I at the very least agree that humanity would be missing something vital if there was no music. So maybe that would happen. I don't know. There's a piece of dust flying across the camera. And yeah, having the Beatles discover the banishing chord was a nice tribute. It was decent. I personally think that it would have been slightly more appropriate if it was Mozart, but to each their own. I still think it was a pretty good idea. Also, I do really like how, not just in this episode, but also in Space Babies, we have somewhat of an expansion of the lore behind the One Who Waits. I was calling it the being in the last one. The One Who Waits, and of course it's revealed it's not the Maestro. The Maestro is not the One Who Waits. The Maestro refers to the One Who Waits as the oldest one. And it's just another example of Russell T Davies doing a really good job at building up suspense for whatever he's got planned for the end of the series. So yeah, loved that. It was really good. Apparently Ruby's got something to do with the One Who Waits. The One Who Waits was apparently at Ruby's birth. The Doctor's memory of that time changed to where the person who walked away starts pointing at the Doctor. I don't know if that in particular is the One Who Waits. It might be. It probably is. I think it might be. But also the fact that it's changing memories is very, very concerning. Yeah, so that was I'm looking forward to what they do with that. And of course, at the end, you know, I complained earlier about, like, is Russell T Davies turning Doctor Who into a musical? Because now they also have another musical number at the very end of this episode, which it caught me off guard, but it was not cringe like the Goblin song. I actually really kind of enjoyed it. Yeah, I'm not opposed to musicals, obviously. I perform in musicals, obviously. I love musicals. I just, you know, you don't expect to see that in Doctor Who. But Russell T Davies he said in the behind the scenes that he was his basic mindset is, anytime somebody tells me you can't do that in Doctor Who, I'm just like, I'm gonna figure out how to do that in Doctor Who. So yeah, that I thought that was a good musical moment for Doctor Who. Anyways, that concludes my reviews of the first 2 episodes of Series 14. I am very much looking forward to this Friday. Is it Friday? This Saturday's release of episode 3, which was written by Stephen Moffat. If Moffat delivers like he used to deliver quite a bit a long time ago, then yeah, like I said, these first few episodes of this season have the potential to be some of the strongest opening episodes to any Doctor Who season ever. So yeah, very, very much looking forward to that. So yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for watching this review. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Please tell me what you thought about these episodes in the comments below. And thank you guys for watching, and this is dclaiche saying goodbye.